Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is July 8th, 2023, and Lamine Yamal will be renewing his contract with Barcelona on July 13th. Also, it's reported that the deal to sign Vitor Roque has been finalized as far as the paperwork. And finally, Andrey Santos has been linked with a possible loan spell at Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in helping this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise from any football team around the world, make sure you hit the kickback. The link is down below in the description. Now we begin with the news that Lamine Yamal will be renewing his contract with Barcelona on July 13th, and it's reported that he will be signing a 5-season contract, and this will be the player's first professional contract with Barcelona, as he's set to turn 16 years old. And per the football rules, a player cannot sign a professional contract until they are 16 years of age. Now, Lamine Yamal is reportedly one of the most exciting, promising, and impressive talents to come out of La Masia ever since Lionel Messi. And all the Barcelona coaches and coaching staff across all the divisions have deep faith in this player, and they say that he will be the next best thing to come out of the Barcelona academy. So this is definitely great news that Barcelona were able to give Lamine Yamal his first professional contract and renew his Barcelona contract, which was set to expire in the summer of 2024. And it's reported that Lamine Yamal will be reporting on Monday to the preseason with the first team under the direction of Xavi Hernandez. Now, it's reported that the plan for Lamine Yamal next season will be for him to start with the Barca Athletic, but continue training with the first team and probably be called up to several matches with the first team. So this is for all of you guys who think that Lamine Yamal could become Barcelona's starter, because that's not realistic. You cannot expect a 15 or a 16-year-old player to be the starter of a team like Barcelona. You have to ease in these youngsters into the first team, because if you start them right away, this is too much pressure and can end up ruining their careers. Now, Lamine Yamal is not the only player to come out of La Masia who Barcelona have been able to give their first professional contract to. Pau Cubarsi, who's one of the most promising center backs to come out of the Barcelona academy, has also extended his contract with Barcelona. And this is great news because there were plenty of European clubs trying to take Pau Cubarsi away from the club. And Barcelona really had to work hard to make sure to tie down this young talent. And Barcelona have given Pau Cubarsi his first professional contract at the club. And just like Lamine Yamal, Pau Cubarsi will be reporting on Monday to the preseason with the first team under the direction of Xavi Hernandez. Now, speaking of young talent, Pablo Torre has published some interesting videos on his social media accounts showing him training really hard during the summer break. And it's reported that Pablo Torre and his entourage are very confident that they will be able to convince Xavi Hernandez to keep him on the team for this upcoming season. Now, as I reported before, Barcelona have plans to send Pablo Torre on loan during this upcoming season, not because of the financial situation or because of the financial fair play rule restrictions, but because Barcelona want Pablo Torre to get more playing time so he can continue growing and developing, since Pablo Torre has not been getting much playing time at Barcelona due to his indiscipline and likeness for the Barcelona nightlife. Now, it seems that Pablo Torre has refocused himself and is determined on impressing Xavi during the preseason so he can stay in Barcelona for this upcoming season. And I really hope that this does happen, because I think that Pablo Torre is a very talented player with a lot of potential. And I was very happy when Barcelona signed him, but unfortunately he has been unable to impress due to the several reports of his indiscipline. So hopefully he'll be able to refocus himself, and who knows, maybe he will become the next Alejandro Balde of Barcelona. Now, the reason I bring up Alejandro Balde because last summer Barcelona had plans to send the player on loan so he can get more playing time, so he can keep growing and developing. And it wasn't until the preseason where Alejandro Balde showed Xavi and everyone else what kind of potential he had, and that's how Barcelona decided to keep him on the team. So who knows, maybe Pablo Torre will be able to do the same thing and finally we'll be able to see what Pablo Torre is capable of doing on the field. Now on to the news that it's reported that Barcelona have finally finalized all the paperwork for the signing of Vitor Roque. Now, as I reported in yesterday's video, Barcelona and Atletico Paranaense had, of course, finalized the deal for the signing of Vitor Roque several days ago, and they had agreed to all the terms, drafted the contracts, and Atletico Paranaense had filled out all the contracts and signed them and returned them to Barcelona for signature. However, Barcelona had yet to sign those documents, but it's reported now that the club finally finalized all the documents, so now the deal to sign Vitor Roque is 100% official. Now Barcelona are now working really hard to offload several players in order to clear enough space on their wage bill for the signing of for the arrival of Vitor Roque during this summer transfer market. But if Barcelona cannot accomplish this, since many other players they want to offload don't want to leave during this summer, then Vitor Roque will arrive during the winter transfer market. But again, Barcelona are working really hard to bring him during this summer because Xavi Hernandez wants the Brazilian wonderkid on his team as soon as possible, and he wants to include him in the preseason tour in the United States of America. Now we now have more details about the figures of this contract. It was initially reported that Barcelona would pay 35 million euros fixed plus 10 million euros variables to Atletico Paranaense, but now several reports are saying that Barcelona will pay 30 million euros fixed, so 5 million euros less than what was initially anticipated. However, they will pay 31 million euros in variables. So that's a total package of 61 million euros, 30 fixed, 31 variables, with the variables being split kind of in two. Half of the variables are variables that are a little bit easier to meet, such as, amount of goals or number of minutes played, and the other second half of the variables a little bit more difficult to achieve, such as winning Ballon d'Ors or playing a certain amount of minutes in future seasons, kind of to make sure that Vitor Roque will stay focused, will stay motivated, and will continue developing according to Barcelona's plans. Now, it's reported that Barcelona agreed to increase the variables that they could potentially end up paying Atletico Paranaense, given all the concessions and how easy Atletico Paranaense have made it for Barcelona to sign Vitor Roque, because after all, they have agreed to all the terms that Barcelona offer them, such as paying for the fixed amount in installments and also facilitating the move and the negotiations of the Brazilian player to the Blaugrana club. Now, speaking of arrivals, Barcelona are still set to sign Oriol Romeu to replace Sergio Busquets in a pivot position, and it's reported that Matteo Alemany will be in charge of making this operation happen and smooth everything with Girona. Now, Oriol Romeu has already agreed to come to Barcelona, and as I reported in a previous video, the club have reached personal agreements with the player himself. However, Girona right now are insisting that if Barcelona want to sign Oriol Romeu, that they're not going to negotiate with the club, and that Barcelona need to pay the full release clause, which is worth 8 million euros. Now, the reason Girona has taken this stance is because they feel betrayed that Barcelona are trying to take one of their most important players away, and Girona think that Barcelona should have approached the club first before talking to the player. And I personally don't understand why Girona are taking this stance. After all, no club does that. No club approaches another club before approaching the player, because first you have to approach the player to see whether they will be interested in coming to your team before you can approach their club. Otherwise, why are you gonna bother negotiating with the club if the player doesn't want to join your team? Now, nonetheless, it's reported that Matteo Alemany will be in charge to meet with the representatives of Girona to try to smooth things over and convince them to negotiate that release clause down. And it seems that Barcelona have a plan to sign Oriol Romeu similar to that one with Vitor Roque, where the club would offer a fixed amount to Girona, probably around 4 million euros to take Oriol Romeu away, and offer them multiple variables, with half of those variables being easier to meet, with the other half being a little bit more difficult to meet. Now, speaking of the pivot position, the Brazilian Andrey Santos has been linked with Barcelona. Now, Andrey Santos is a promising pivot out of Brazil. He was recently signed by Chelsea during the winter transfer market from Vasco da Gama. However, he returned to Vasco da Gama on loan, and now he will be reporting to the preseason trainings with Chelsea. But it's reported that the player could be sent out on loan again so he can get more playing time and continue growing and developing, since Pochettino most likely will not be using the youngster that much during this upcoming season. Now, Andrey Santos has been linked with several different clubs in regards to his possible loan this upcoming season. And one of the clubs that he has been linked with is FC Barcelona. Now, I would put an asterisk on this report because I'm not too sure about how real it is. I mean, as far as Barcelona being interested in Andrey Santos, that is very true. Barcelona have been interested in this youngster for a very long time. He is, Deco especially, is a big fan of this player. But as far as Andrey Santos arriving in Barcelona on loan, I think it's a little bit more difficult to believe because, first of all, I don't see Andrey Santos wanting to leave Chelsea before the preseason because it's reported that he wants to prove himself to Pochettino. And second of all, as I've said many times before, Barcelona are looking for a pivot who's ready to come to the club and be a starter in the first team, not someone who still needs to grow and develop. So again, I would put an asterisk on this report, but nonetheless, the reports are linking Barcelona with a possible loan of Andrey Santos during this upcoming season. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.